Good morning to all. Today we are going to continue on our previous topic of science, which was food. Today we are going to talk about the deficiency diseases. So let's start talking about that. So firstly, what are these deficiency diseases? Basically, these deficiency diseases is the diseases caused when we are not taking the nutrients in a proper amount. Let me tell you an example. So let's say if you are not getting vitamin A or vitamin B in a right amount, you can get night blindness or a beriberi. If you are not getting carbohydrate or protein, you can get marasmus or the kwashiorkor, etc. So these are some deficiency diseases. I think this deficiency diseases is clear to you, and now we are going to talk about the deficiency diseases of each nutrient one by one. So let's start with the facts. So, do you know that there is one type of fat known as omega-3 fatty acids, and that is important for our neurological function. What is that? Related to our nerves and the brain. And let me write down that name: omega-3 fatty acid. And do you know that this, if you are not taking this in a right amount, you can get several of mental disorders. It can be so many. And that fat is also important for our normal body functioning. And if you are not getting fat at the right amount, you can end up with the deficiency diseases of A, D, E and K. Let me write down A, D, E and K. Why is that? As we had talked about, that these are the fat soluble vitamin. Fat soluble vitamins. And also, let's move on to the carbohydrate. I think that fats is clear to you. And let's talk about the carbohydrate. Now, as we had already learned, that carbohydrate is important for a basic body functioning, because this carbohydrate is nothing but a form of energy, right? And if we has no carbohydrate in a right amount, then what will happen? Our body will start using another nutrients, for example fats and proteins. That's because our body need to maintain the basic body functions like the breathing and then etc. So our body uses proteins and fats. As we had already learned that protein is important for our growth and maintenance. If our body is using this protein for just body functioning, for basic body functioning, then we will stop growing at all. And if protein is used in that, so our growth will stop and many things could happen. For example, our growth will decrease, and also it will lead to the lower IQ also. Talking about another nutrient, another deficiency disease of the nutrient called as protein. Let's talk about that. So if you are not getting protein in a right amount, you can get two diseases. Let's talk about that also. already learned that protein is important for the maintenance and the growth of our body. If there will be no protein or less protein, then we can get to diseases known as marasmus and kwashiorkor. Let's talk about these one by one. In the marasmus, what will happen? The child suffering from this disease will become very thin and have long and thin limbs. And the child will become extremely tired and weak. Feel extremely tired, and the child will become just very weak. Do you know that lack of protein can also cause the discoloration of hair? And of course, the protein is helpful for the growth, is important for our growth, then our growth will also stop. Talking about this kwashiorkor over here, do you know that the protein is also important for carrying water? Protein carries water where it goes, and the protein is also present in our blood streams. And if there will be less protein and no protein, what will happen? That our blood can't hold that water anymore, and that water will start leaking to the other tissues of our body. And that when the water leaks to the other tissues, it looks like the part is just swelling, that body part is just swelling, but that is not called swelling, that is called edema. And in this kwashiorkor, the edema happens, and the child suffering from this kwashiorkor will have bulging eyes. What is this bulging eyes? The eye will just extend from its socket only a little. That's because our muscles present inside our eyes will start swelling, and because of that, the child suffering from this kwashiorkor will have the bulging eyes. And what is the main difference between this kwashiorkor and marasmus? Because these both diseases are caused due to the lack of proteins, right? So what is the main difference? The main difference is that in this marasmus, what will happen, that there will be lack of calories. Also, there will be no normal calories. The lack of calories. But in this kwashiorkor, there are enough calories. So that is the main difference. So let's move on. I think these three major nutrients, the deficiency of major nutrient is clear. Proteins, carbohydrates and fats. So let's move on to the vitamins. Let's talk about the vitamins. So let's start talking about the vitamin A. So, as we had already learned that with this vitamin A is important for our healthy eyes and skin. And do you know that this vitamin A, the lack of this vitamin A will lead to the deficiency disease known as the night blindness. It will lead to a disease known as night blindness. And what will happen in this disease? Do you know that this vitamin A is important for building a chemical in our eyes, which is important for seeing, which is important so that our eyes or we can see in the dark. That because of that chemical only we can see in the dark. And if the there will be no vitamin A, we will not able to see in the dark, especially in the night. And that's why this disease, the deficiency disease of the vitamin A, is known as the night blindness. In the night blindness, right? And also, do you know that this vitamin A is also helpful for our this vitamin D A is also important for our healthy cornea. What is cornea? A thin covering around our eyes for protecting it, and also our cornea also keep our eye moistured so that we can see. If there will be no vitamin A, then our cornea will not be able to moisten our eyes, and if that will happen, we can get the permanent blindness also. And as we had already learned that this vitamin A is also important for our healthy skin, and if we will get the night blindness, what will happen? We will get a scaly dried skin. Let's talk about another vitamin, vitamin B. I'm talking about vitamin B1. And the deficiency disease of vitamin B1 sounds really funny, but is serious. I think you know the name. It is known as the beriberi. And for telling you about this beriberi, I'm going to tell you about a story, a short story. Let's listen to that. A long ago, Dutch East India Company transport the materials from Holland, was transporting from the Holland to China some materials. And you know that the settlers going from the Holland to China to Java and so many beautiful islands in the Pacific, what happens that settlers start getting a disease, a serious disease, and that disease shows a lot of symptoms. The settlers couldn't eat. Their muscles start failing. Their muscles become weak, and the hurt also. They were not able to do any of the work because the muscle was so weak, and you know that it had caused so many deaths also. Then the Dutch East India Company decided to form the medical team, and in that there was one doctor known as Eggman. Let me write down the name. Eggman. And do you know that Eggman start finding the cure of this disease, and this disease start popularing as the name of the beriberi. And this berry is just this word is derived from the Sinhalese word berry, the meaning of that word berry is the weakness. And then the Eggman start finding the cure of this disease. One weird thing happened that time. The settlers get that disease, that serious disease, beriberi, but the local people, the Eggman found that the local people do not get that that serious symptoms of this beriberi. And do you know that next what happens? That the Louis Pasteur at that time he proved that the diseases can also caused by the bacteria. And when it was declared, many of the doctors start thinking about that this berry, the scurvy, vitamin C, deficiency of vitamin C, scurvy, that has caused because of the bacteria. Then they decided to find that bacteria and just destroy it, and then they will get rid of these diseases. But actually that was not really true. And what happened that settlers eat the good food, the polished rice also, machine polished rice, which looks white and fluffy, and also it was easy to cook. And do you know that the local people and the members, the people living in the jungles, like that type of, they eat poor food, and also they don't get the serious disease very. Why was that happened? Let me give you a clue. The settlers eat the polished rice, machine polished rice, but the people in the local people don't eat that type of polished rice. They eat the rice with the barns or the brown rice. I think you have guessed that. Then what happens next? That Ackerman start finding about that, was finding the cure of this disease very. But what happened? He come across a flock of hens, the chickens, and he noticed that chicken was looking sick and shows the symptoms of this disease very. What happens next? Then Ackerman immediately start researching on the blood of the chicken so that he can find that bacteria which is causing this very. But he couldn't find any. What happens next? After some time, the chickens start becoming healthy. The chickens become healthy. That same chickens, that same hens. So then Ackerman start thinking about that, and he went to the caretaker of that, that hens, the chickens, and he asked that caretaker about the poultry, the food that was the diet of that chickens, the food that was eaten by that chickens. Then the caretaker tell the Ackerman that he always feed the chickens, the hens, with the brown rice. But for some time he start feeding them the chickens with machine polished rice or the white rice. And then Ackerman come across that there was a problem. What happens? What is the difference between the brown rice and the white polished rice? The difference is that in the brown rice it is less polished, and the barn, the vitamins of barn is there. But in the white rice it is not, because barn is just thrown out or extracted from that rice. Then I think you know about that. I think that you're clear with this story. And we had also learned about the symptoms of this beriberi, which is the people could also paralysis also. Paralysis could also happens to the child or the people who is suffering from this disease beriberi. This beriberi sounds funny, but it is so serious. Weak heart functioning, the scary one. it could be deadly. I think that the deficiency diseases of these two, this vitamin A and this vitamin B, which is the night blindness and the beriberi, is clear to you. And for now, let's stop over here, and in my next video we are going to continue on the vitamin C deficiency, the scurvy, the rickets and so on. So for now, thank you and have a cheerful day ahead. And if you want an improvement in me, so you can just comment it in the comment box. Thank you and have a cheerful day ahead. Thank you.